they love running the ball. Tommy and Sean, obviously dangerous duo at quarterback. How do you kind of get your guys ready for this, especially when you guys kind of struggled against the run at times this season?
Well, I think you mentioned it. It's looking at, and I know their stats and the games I played on paper, every single category on all three phases outside of kick return, they're top three in the conference in. So it's not just two quarterbacks. It's not just a run game. I mean, they give up 308 yards on defense, and they've played 9 games. And they've played a couple really, really tough ones. Went to Brookings to play South Dakota State. So it's not just run. They average 7.5 yards per rush on the season. I mean, that's incredible. They do a great job game planning. It's an eye discipline piece. It's a physicality piece. It's a little opportunity. It's a little luck piece. It's a little play calling piece too. And you got to put them in third and medium to give yourself a chance. But they're not scared to run the ball in third and medium either. That's their bread and butter. Play great defense. They play great offense. And they play great special teams. They're a well-rounded team. They play really, really well at home, especially the last 25 games, which is unblemished at home. So there's not too many things you're going to find or ask me, because I'd be lying if I told you that there's something that they're not good at. They're good at a lot of things in all three phases. So we've got to play. We don't have to play perfect, but we got to play it pretty darn well. We got to be opportunistic, and we've got to kind of try to get them at least 1.5 dimensional, maybe not one dimensional, but get them to throw the ball in the air. It's going to be tough. They're playing for a seed. They're playing at home. They've got their big one the next one, so maybe they happen to overlook us for some reason. I don't think Coach Vegan will allow that to happen, but we'll give it our best shot. We'll be ready. But this is a very well coached, good football team all around.
And, we all saw what Idaho did to them in Moscow, and they did a lot of their stuff by keeping the ball and time of possession. I know that's not exactly how you like to run your offense, but is that something you could take into account heading into this game, that maybe you can limit their possessions?
Well, I think honestly, it's a little bit of both. They're going to limit our possessions because of their run game. And again, if we're not giving up 40-yard runs, then naturally that's going to take more time off the clock. If it's 5 and 6 and 7, they're 9 games in. That game at halftime was 10-0. So it's a little bit back and forth the entire time in Moscow. It wasn't a fun game to watch if you're an offensive coach, because there wasn't a ton going on in that first half. Both teams play lights out on defense. They make it difficult for you. They make you earn yards, and that's what we have to do, is make them earn yards. And by doing that, we got to play with great discipline. We got to get more than one hat to the ball carrier. They've got many guys that touch the ball and that could do magical things with the ball in their hand. They try to get your eyes in different spots, and before you know it, the gap opens and no one's there, because we've got 2 in one gap, and they've got 1 in a gap that we're not in. And so we're about even, believe it or not, time possession on the year. They're just over 30 minutes or just under 30 minutes. So Coach Shaven's done a good job, and part of that playing good defense is playing good offense, and limiting the possessions, so your defense doesn't have to go out there 3 or 4 more times. So it'll be a battle.
Coach, I think you held Cal Poly to like 3 rushing yards per attempt per 40 that they did. What can you take from that game, and maybe it's still into this game, even though they've got 4 different ball carriers on that Cats team?
Yeah, as much as I'd love to compare, it's almost comparing, honestly, apples to granola bars. I mean, they're totally different things. Their quarterback number 1 last week was not going to threaten you in the run game, and they've got 2. So Cal Poly didn't have 1, and now we're facing a team that has 2. They've got a multitude of guys they hand the ball off to, and at any given time they could go the distance, and that's kind of the nice thing, but also kind of the pressure piece of it, because at any point that could go 70 yards on the ground. We're not built like that offensively at Eastern. We know that it's going to take 3 or 4 attempts on the ground to get to where they they may go on one attempt. But we got to tackle well, and that's a big portion of things. And health is always a factor this time of year. So we'll find out who they actually have to work with, because they've got a slew of tight ends that have done a lot of work blocking, but also catching. I mean, hell, they're starting. Tight end was a punt return for 3 games early on in the year. So they use their guys and they use them well. They know what they can do well, and they put them in positions to be successful. But it is a totally different element. I mean, they're rushing for over 300 yards a game for a reason, because they give those guys touches, because they've been up in games and haven't had to come behind in games, and they force you to throw the ball when they're up. And every possession is very valuable.
Coach, I know you said that you respect, these Montana teams and, the fan bases and all that stuff, but what would a win mean to go to Bobcat Stadium, maybe silence them, and what would that give for you guys?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because I asked our upperclassmen a couple of days ago when we were talking. I said, how many of you have been to Bozeman? And no one raised their hand. Last time we were there was 2018, just the way the wonky schedule worked and with COVID. So we haven't been there since then. And that's when, Gage Gruber got hurt, and Eric Berry took over for Gage midway through that season at 18. Any win on the road in the Big Sky is tough to get, but especially when you're going to a top 5 team, a hungry team, a really well-coached team, a physical team at their place with 25 wins in a row. You're not going to have to motivate that team to get that done. It means we'd be back to 500. At the end of the day, we'd put ourselves in position to come back home to try to chase and get our 6th win. But you can't get 6 before you get 5. And it's an uphill battle, but it's a battle we're willing to take part in.
You mentioned that you don't think that they're going to overlook you guys, but how much of it can you go into maybe this matchup with, hey, we got nothing to lose here?
Absolutely. And they've got everything to gain. I mean, really, because they get seed on the line. You want to play in the playoffs at home. I mean, undoubtedly, it's like a 90% winning percentage at home in the playoffs, no matter who you are, no matter what conference you're in. So they're going to give us everything they have. I don't think they're going to leave anything in the playbook that they wouldn't have run against anybody else. It's game 10. You got to use everything you got. And at this point, it's not about how pretty things are. It's how effective things are. And to me, effective this late in the year is to score more points. And to do that, you got to cause some turnovers. You got to hang on to the ball. You got to be great on 3rd down, but they're great on 3rd down defense. You've got to put them in 3rd downs, but they're a great 3rd down offense. So it's their strength kind of against their strength a little bit, and so we're going to go in and do everything we can, because, like you said, we've got nothing to lose, but they have everything to gain. So it's kind of a battle of wills a little bit that way, but it'd be huge. Great fan base. It's the only thing going on in town. It'll be exciting. It'll be electric. Haven't been there since all the new facilities got put together. It's always a great place to play. They always say nice things about you in the stands, and so it's always kind of been a fun one in Bozeman when you get the chance.
And just to talk a little bit about Tommy and Sean. I mean, you guys knocked Tommy out of that game last year, but then Sean was able to come in and lead them on that scoring drive at the end. Obviously, 2 incredibly different players, but both dangerous. How can you kind of help game plan for both of those and work with that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Last year they used them both more than they have together on the field at once. This year it's been in a limited role with both those guys on the field, and I think it's a lot to do with their running back situation being healthy and being productive. But both are special in their own way. Tommy throws it a little bit more, where Sean runs it a little bit more. He's the bigger of the 2 by far. Both have been dinged in their careers. So Coach Vegan probably is aware of that and wanted to make sure that they get the most out of them and play to their strengths a little bit. They're both effective in the run game. They run a lot of different versions of read type zones or power reads. They're not scared to use a quarterback, especially on 3rd and 4th down. Those choice downs, they'll give it up a little bit to the tailbacks, get the ball on the edge a little bit. But at the end of the day, when those money downs come up, they're going to put it in 4 and 10's hands. And we know that, they know that. So it's a matter of how and who gets it done the most consistent. But very, very good players. Looks like they get along really well. They play off each other, and they're not fun to play against. They're fun to watch when you're not prepping for them, but they're not fun to play against. And usually the best ones are not fun to play against, especially when you're playing on their home turf.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.